Hello. Okay, so I'm trying very hard to resist the temptation to redo chapter 37's video, especially since I have a like already. But you know, I'm listening to it in the car and I'm like, oh, no. Yeah, there was multiple things wrong with the chapter, so I went through and I have tweaked those multiple things. I have repaired the chapter. But like I said, it's already been posted, it's got one like, and it would be a lot of work to redo it. So I'm just going to run through some of the corrections for those of you who have read the chapter already or about to read it. I mentioned earlier that they're in a part of the, they're in a very heavily forested area. The snow is not able to get through the trees. I have Jürgen looking at the snow early in the chapter. We've changed that to frozen ground, or actually, what did I say? Yeah, frozen ground. Okay, we changed that, so we got rid of that. Also, we introduced the fact that he is going to be cooking the deerdill that Roth shot. Okay, deerdill is a small deer. And through the rest of the chapter, we don't hear anything at all about the deerdill. So when Filrina is in the tent, she smells the roasting meat. And toward the end, when Jürgen is squatting by the fire, he's carving the last of the meat from the trussed hind legs of the deerdill. And then when they're packing up to leave, he's also packing the meat from the deerdill. So we've incorporated the deerdill. It's not just a thing that I threw in there and then it just completely gets forgotten, which is what happened. It's like, oh yeah, he's cooking this deer, and we never hear anything else about the deer that he's cooking. So we got rid of that, or we corrected that. So now that now they have a supply of meat, and he wrapped the meat in a waxed cloth. Okay, but they better eat it quick because it's not dried, so it's not gonna keep. So we have to be realistic here. But at least they have some meat for a short while, and the deerdill just didn't go poof, you know, it didn't just disappear. So yes, yeah, that was bothering me when I was listening to it. It's amazing what you notice when you're writing it. It's like, oh, that sounds really good, you know, and then you forget the things that you put down, and it's like, oh, what happened to the deer and whatever. So okay, so I kind of account for the deer. And oh yeah, one other thing that in the tent scene with Tarek, he nudges Filrina's leg with his toe. I changed that to the toe of his boot because he's not walking around barefoot. Okay, so we changed that to the toe of his boot, which makes a little bit more sense. So yeah, those are the changes, more or less. There might have been a few others, but those were the major ones. And it would have been a lot of work to go through and redo this chapter 37 all over, just to make it so it's perfect. So there, that's what I'm doing. Instead, I'm just making a note to people who are reading this, or rather listening to me read it. Maybe one day it'll be published and you can read it. Stuff that you notice when you listen to it being read back, and reading stuff back is really helpful, honestly. I recommend that too, to just little things that I've learned along the way. Reading stuff back is a huge help. When I'm writing in general, I read stuff before I do anything. I read it back and listen to it, and you can catch redundant phrasing that way, or the redundant use of words, like redundant, twice in a row. No, you know, like there's another part in this chapter where I used the word fire, and then I'm describing the fire mountain, and then I refer to the fire, and the mountain is filled with darkness and fire in the very next sentence. So that's redundant phrasing. Maybe I want to change one of those occurrences of the word fire to something else, so it's not redundant. Stuff like that is what you hear when you read it back. You hear redundant phrasing, or just redundant words, you know. So that's something I use as a tool. Reading my stuff back helps a lot. I'm trying to think of what else. Also, point of view. If you read it back, you can really listen. You can catch point of view errors. You know, like, those are really easy to do. Like, if I'm writing a scene from Galen's point of view, and I'm suddenly having Avalar do something that... Oh, I'm trying to think of a good example. Oh, here's a good example of a point of view error. Earlier in the story, when Filrina is paralyzed and Mens has just knocked her back onto the bed and she's paralyzed and she's not able to open her eyes even. She's not able to turn her eyes and she's not even able to open her eyes. Listening to that chapter, listening to myself reading that chapter back, I have the attendant blink. This is after she's been paralyzed and she's not able to open her eyes. He blinks. The attendant blinks. That's a real small error, but the chapters that, or rather, well, I think the whole chapter in that case is written from Filrina's point of view, so she would not know that the attendant blinked. She would have no way of knowing that. So that's an error, and that's something that I had to go back and fix. We changed that. So things like that, you know, if you're writing from the perspective of a character and you know, have another character thinking something, that would be a point of view. That would be a point of a perspective shift. You would be suddenly writing from somebody else's point of view instead of the character's point of view that you're supposed to be writing in. So Galen, if the scene is being written from Galen's perspective, he would not know what Avalar is thinking. You can have Galen watch Avalar react to something, but you can't have Galen, or have Galen imagine. Maybe he can almost read her thoughts and guess at what Avalar might be thinking, but he can't actually know what she's thinking. He can't suddenly go into her head and know what she's thinking. So point of view errors are really easy, especially if you're a novice writer. It's really easy to jump back and forth from one character's point of view to another character's point of view. That's one of the things that I had to learn when I was writing is, you know, if you want to write multiple point of views in a book, you can, but each scene individually has to stick with one point of view. There is a kind of writing where you do jump around from point of views, and I can't remember what it's called, but I don't know how to write that way. So anyway, this isn't supposed to be a tutorial on how to write, but I just wanted to make the video, I didn't want it to be too short, just talking about my blunders with chapter 37. But yeah, just things to, you know, that I've learned along the way, that it really helps listening to yourself read it back. Even if you're recording it, listening to it back has been a huge help for me, and I would recommend it. You know, recording it, listening to it is really a huge help. But even just sitting and reading it and listening to yourself as you read it is a huge help. So anyway, that's all. This is just a stupid, mindless video that I felt like doing. Instead of laboring for 2 hours to try to redo chapter 37, which is what it would take me to redo it. It would take another 2 hours. So forget it. I'm just going to put it out there as it is with the mistakes, and this is my little, oh, by the way, this is how it's supposed to be kind of thing. In fact, I'm going to get to where the part is with the deer, if I can find it, because that was the biggest change. If I can find it, I'll get to it. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Okay, originally I have passing Tarek, Virgin went straight to the little fire and knelt. And he prods he takes his dagger and he prods at the brands to coax the flames higher. Now it says passing Tarek. It's 3 in the morning, sorry. Passing Tarek, Virgin went straight to the little fire and knelt below the spitted remains of the Diradel carcass. Yeah. Okay, so there's that. Then he coaxed the flames higher. It makes a little more sense too. If the carcass is there, you might want to coax the flames because maybe he wants to cook it some more. Okay, so then a little bit further down. See, I really needed that Diradel I needed something to happen with that Diradel because it's, you know, a rather large thing. You can't just have it. They didn't just make hamburgers. You know, cooking it would have been a big deal. He would have been cooking that all night. He would have been roasting that all night. Okay. So what else? There's one other place where I talk about the Diridill. These are the major changes. Okay, when Tarek is trying to get Florina to wake up, and she's not waking up, and Jurgen says, I don't blame her, I wouldn't want to wake up either if I were her. Now I have him say, well, I have it go, this particular sentence, I don't blame her, Jurgen said, watching as he picked the last bits of meat from the Diridill's trussed hind legs. See, so now you understand that it's not only cooked, it's been picked at, and he's just, you know, he's just picking the last bits of it. Yeah, you know, okay. So that's chapter 37. Those are the corrections I made to it. And now on to chapter 38. And this is a stupid video, I know, but it's going to really bother me that those errors are there. And I just want people who are reading my story to know that I caught them and have fixed them. So if you've been watching, thank you. Bye.